What's going on, you guys? TBR here, back yet again with another King of Fighters All-Star video, and welcome back to the channel. I hope you all are having a wonderful week. In today's video, we are going to be taking a look at none other than the newest EX banner to be added into the King of Fighters All-Star as of today, and that, of course, is going to be EX Volume 9, featuring EX Leona 15 and EX Luang 15. In today's video, we're going to go ahead and take a look at both the fighters and the card banners and see if these characters and these cards are going to be worth summoning on. And then we're going to go ahead and use up our free rubies that were given to us for our login bonuses. And we're going to see if we can maybe get a little bit lucky in today's video. But before we go ahead and get into all of that and more, make sure if you guys haven't already done so, you smash that like button and subscribe. And let's just go ahead and hop into today's video. So as you guys can see, the newest banner is live. We'll go ahead and start off though with the cards. So first up here, let's take a look at the Mischievous Joke set. Now, this set is really strong looking on paper. However, my biggest takeaway after looking at it is going to be very specific in who you can use it on and get the full effect out of it. But we'll talk about it as we go through here. So first up here, we got to talk about the fact that each one of these cards for this card set is going to have a separate effect. So the first one here is going to increase Extreme Fighter's critical rate by 7%, as you guys can see on screen. Second one here is going to increase Female Fighter's combat power by 35k, so kind of keep that in mind. That's one of the first things that you're going to want to think about when using this set, or whether you want to use the set, is it's going to be specific, not entirely towards female fighters, but you can tell it's kind of geared towards them. And then you have a 30% chance to charge all 5 of your power slots, just like with most of these card sets recently for EX fighters on the third one. So that's that. Now, as far as the official overall effect of this thing, there's a lot here, so we're just going to go through it line by line. You're increasing your burn damage by 100% and your critical rate by 12% when an attack type fighter lands a skill. So you're going to want to use fighters that have burn with this card set, or if you are going to be using some of the fighters that are on this banner specifically, looking at you, Leona, as a character for maybe a support, then you could also look at this on your main damage dealer if they are female and using burn as well. It's up to you. There's going to be different ways you can kind of suss around with it, but at the same time, again, it is very specific on kind of what you're going to be using it on. You're also going to increase your critical damage by 20% when an extreme fighter lands a critical hit, and this is going to stack up to 120%. So basically, you can get this 20% bonus up to 120%, which is a lot, right? So then you're also going to increase your attack by 30% for each skill landed on a burn target, up to 120% as well. And that's pretty much what we got on this set. So this set is really good. Again, however, it's very specific as far as the things that you need to do in order to get the full effectiveness out of it. So while it is a very strong set, and it's a set I'm sure is going to undoubtedly, if you have all the stars aligned and are using it on the proper setup, is going to do an incredibly good amount of damage, I do think that you want to also keep in mind that it is very specific, because you are going to want to specifically look for an EX female fighter with burn, and that is going to be something that obviously you can find on this banner and you can find elsewhere as well. But at the same time, it is going to be a set that maybe you want to also pick up for the future if characters come out that also meet these criteria, because this card set could age very well as a result of that. But overall, I think this is a very strong card set. I think it's just a card set that does require quite a bit to get the full effectiveness out of it, and it is still going to be one of those situations where the jury is out on the overall damage numbers by comparison to some of the previously released card sets as to whether or not it's going to out damage them right now. So if I were you guys, I would probably wait and see on the card set specifically, just so that you can invest wisely if you're planning on trying to chase it. And again, the biggest consideration beyond all that is going to be the future and whether or not more characters come out that meet these criteria, at which point this set could only get better, right? So that is going to be the Mischievous Joke set, right? That is our newest card set. Let's go ahead and take a look at the finishers. So Leona's finisher is going to increase her critical rate by 15% for 10 seconds after using it. Very good. Basically, more crit in this game is kind of Netmarble's MO the past 6 months or so. But yeah, crit is what Netmarble is all about recently. It used to be crit was kind of one of those things, if it happened, it was a giant treat. Nowadays, it's like every banner. So yeah, that's what you're getting on Leona's finisher. And then on Luang's finisher, this is going to increase critical damage of all teammates, including self, by 15% for 10 seconds. And Luang is a character that is going to be a very fine support indeed. This is also going to have some support characteristics to it as well. And yeah, overall, a lot of support going on in the game recently as far as them trying to push it. So I do think that's probably to coincide with some of the new content getting ready to come out. Time will tell. But at the same time, I have a hard time believing that Netmarble is specifically pushing supporting in things like Guild Raid right now. I think that this is probably them buttering people up for what is coming soon, especially given what we know now from that dev handbook with new content on the way. But overall, really good stuff. Now, finally here we do have, speaking of really good stuff, a fantastic option card. This is really, really good. This is Soldier and Agent. This increases critical rate by 5% and decreases skill cooldowns by 1.3 seconds, and also increases critical rate by a further 12% for 5 seconds when an extreme fighter lands inactive on a cooldown of 7 seconds. I don't think I need to tell you guys that this is really good, and you should probably pull for it if you have the ability to, and you've missed out on some of the previously released option cards that are going to help you out with your crit for your extreme fighters. This is fantastic. So really, really good option overall, and it doesn't have any of those asterisks next to it like we've had with, say, for instance, this set right here, right? So that is what we got there. The set is very, very good on paper, but again, does require quite a bit of things to align in order to get the full usefulness out of it. Option card is phenomenal, and then the finishers are really good. They're finishers. So obviously Luang's is going to be the most important of the two, because if you're somebody that's been playing the game for quite a while, Leona has some 3PG finishers that you could use if you really wanted to be on a budget. But overall, I would say if you're going for the characters, you're definitely going to want to at least try for the finishers, right? Especially in Luang's case, you need the finisher. So that is pretty much that. Speaking of the characters, let's go ahead and talk about the characters now. So on the character banner, if I can talk right now, we have Leona and Luang. We'll start out with Leona here because, of course, she's the character that everybody is interested in, and she's the character that is going to be the most popular on this banner. So Leona is a blue attack type, which right now means very little, but going forward might mean something. However, I will say a blue attack typing is an awesome combination because, well, we don't get them as often. So it's very nice to see that. She has a leadership ability that increases blue element fighters' attack by 50% and their critical rate by 15%. Really good leadership overall. There's better leaderships out there, but for blue element fighters, it's still pretty strong. It's not something you're ever probably going to use all that often, though. I'm not going to lie to you guys, because again, there are better leaderships out there, but that's not why we're here. It isn't all about the leadership ability, so let's take a look at the cores. So first up here, we have a 30% power charge rate increase. You'll love to see it. Pretty standard stuff. She is going to have on her exclusive course, however, starting out with Retaliation Against Destiny, dealing burn and bleed damage equal to 200% of attack on the target every 1 second for 7 seconds, and increases her own attack by 10% when landing a critical hit, up to 100%. So we have more stacks. There's a lot of stacking going on with this banner. So this right here is really, really good. This character, I get the feeling, damage-wise, just right off the bat, because people only really care about what these characters are going to do, kind of by comparison to previously released stuff. I get the feeling that this character is probably going to be hanging in literally the same realm as the last two characters, which is Iori and Shun'ei, maybe just a tad better or a tad stronger. It's hard to tell, but I do feel like that this banner in particular power creeps support characters more than it power creeps anything. But at the same time, I do think there is some power creep going on here. Just going off of base text and just kind of doing math in my head on some of this stuff, I do get the feeling that we're seeing a bit of more of power creep on just our general character pool, but I think the support character pool is what's getting the most power crept here. But I could be wrong. We'll have to wait and see. These characters have only been out for a couple hours. Admittedly, I have seen them in action 0 times at this point. So, but just judging from what I've seen so far, reading the text and kind of going over in my head different scenarios, I'm assuming that's going to be the case, but time will tell. So she's also going to be decreasing damage received by 80% if her HP is 60% or less. This is a really nice save right here. Right here, the 60% or less, that is a really nice marker. So this character is going to have some sustain, specifically again because she's going to gain damage immunity for 5 seconds if her HP is 30% or less on a cooldown of 7 seconds. So you'll love to see it. She can deal damage, she can protect herself, and she's an attack type, so probably going to be a little bit squishy. Now, Burning Spirit, immune to stun, freeze, petrify, and fear. A lot of immunities there. And she gains Burning Spirit effect for 12 seconds every time a skill is used. So you guys are going to hear Burning Spirit again, but these characters do usher in a little bit of new mechanics. So we'll kind of talk about that starting here. So when it comes to Burning Spirit for Leona, 1 is for active skill, so 1 stack of Burning Spirit is for active skills. 2 is for finisher skills. So basically you're getting 1 for active skills, 2 for finisher skills, right? That's how you're getting these stacks, if I'm reading this correctly, and it stacks up to 15. And then you can increase your attack speed by 1%, your critical rate by 3%, your critical damage by 5%, and your finisher skill damage by 10% for every Burning Spirit effect in possession. So basically you get 1 for active skills, you get 2 for finisher skills, you stack them up to 15, you get some effects, and you go to town, right? That's pretty much what you're getting there. Sounds pretty good to me. So overall, this character looking strong on paper already, but we need to talk about what's going on with the skills. So we'll talk about the EX skills when we get there, but first I want to talk about her overall just general normal skills, and then we'll talk about how that kind of changes with what she has going on and the rest of the kit, right? So first up here, we have on the S1, this is going to be, can be used when attacked, limited to standing or airborne, so it doesn't interrupt. It deals burn damage equal to 200% of attack every 1 second for 12 seconds upon landing a skill. Increases enemies' damage received by 50% for 12 seconds upon landing a skill on a bleeding enemy, and has a PvP exclusive of a 100% chance to remove the target's hyper armor or critical hit shield upon landing a hit. So this character, as you guys can see, again, going forward throughout here, keep in mind that these characters are not only kind of threatening to power creep the current meta, but also completely power creeping the support meta, and you can see that as we go through here. These are some pretty good little effects. This character, again, with that new card set we just talked about, I had mentioned that that card set seemed kind of tailored towards her right now, and that's kind of what you're seeing already on the S1. Now on the S2, we have Grand Saber EX. This can be used while being attacked, only while standing, so we have another interrupt. It deals bleed damage equal to 200% of attack to the target every 1 second for 12 seconds upon landing a skill, decreases enemies' defense by 60% for 12 seconds upon landing a skill on a burning enemy, and then stuns all enemies for 3 seconds upon use. So we have bleed on here as well as on top of our burn, and then we have more support. We have a stun on here for 3 seconds for all enemies just for using it. So this thing really good, and things do kind of get a little bit crazy with this character when we talk about the fact that she also has limitless, but we're gonna get there, so we'll just keep going here. But overall, as you guys can see, this character can kind of play both support and damage dealer very well, and I think that that is going to make this character stand out a little bit from the pack. Now, she can also have an interrupt on her S3 also, because everything's an interrupt now. So this is limited to standing or airborne. She has hyper armor here for 4 seconds, so that's where you're going to see your combination of interrupt and hyper armor, and you increase enemies' damage received by 55% for 12 seconds upon landing a skill on a burning enemy. So again, guys, incredibly good support, incredibly good damage dealer. Seems like this character is going to be very popular for both parties, no matter how you prefer to play the game. But again, time will tell just how bonkers this character is, but I'm liking what I'm seeing. Now, on the finisher skill for the core finisher, this is another interrupt, and this one can be done while you're standing, airborne, or knocked down. This character has saves for days. She increases her own attack by 30% for 10 seconds and her critical rate by 10% after using the skill, with a 100% chance to reset the active skill cooldown upon using it, and that is what we got there. This character seems like she's kind of a machine, I'm not gonna lie. Seems like a lot of fun to play this character. What I will say though is I think this character really wants to be awoken, so you're probably not going to see as much out of her unawakened at level 90 as you would if you got her to just an A1. I think this character wants that, at least that A1, but then again, characters in 2023 are pretty crazy. So now I did mention she has these EX skills here. We do need to talk about limitless here. So limitless, if you guys don't remember, basically is going to change some of what is going on here. So you'll notice that your heart attack on your S1 is now got EX in front, or behind it rather, and then it doesn't if you don't have limitless. So limitless here, if you guys don't remember, gains maximum power every 1 second for 10 seconds and decreases active skill and finisher skill cooldown by 80% upon use. So that is what you got there. Of course, it's got interrupt on it because of course it does. But with that being said, if we take a look here, this is going to change things just a little bit. So if we take a look here, basically, whenever you get this type of EX skill, it's going to change some of your multipliers and your numbers. So if you take a look there, just so you guys can kind of see, then if we take a look again here, we're going to notice on the S1 that, again, it does change these numbers just a little bit. So you'll notice 50% at base here, 200% of attack right there for the base on the non-limitless one. And then if we pop limitless here, then we are going to be dealing physical damage equal to 2600% of attack upon landing a skill and increasing the enemy's damage received by 60%. So you are getting some bonuses there. Things do change. She actually goes to a physical beat stick with this active, because you'll see on Grand Saber EX physical damage. If we turn limitless off, then we have bleed damage, right? So things do change on this character based on whether she has limitless, which means Netmarble has been on a mission to get us to feel like we need to max out these characters for a while now, and it seems like this is a continuation of that. So overall, with what Netmarble has planned going forward with this game, I couldn't tell you guys whether this is like a must max character or not with that stuff in mind, because we did get that dev note, but at the same time, it does seem like this character definitely wants to be at A5. So take it for what you will. Limitless is going to change things for her quite a bit when you get it. So keep that in mind. It makes a night and day difference. Now, other things here though, we don't want to just talk about Limitless because she has a really weird, kind of wonky other EX skill here. Now, this is going to be remote detonation. This detonates her earring bomb heart attack projectiles upon use, and if they exist on the battlefield, excluding moving projectiles, immediately granting 15 burning spirit effects and increasing her attack speed by 3%, her critical rate by 5%, her critical damage by 10%, her finisher skill damage by 100% for all teammates, including her, for 15 seconds. So basically, this is like, if you want to play her as a support, you get this. If you want to play her as just a solo artist, just monster for DPS, then you pick Limitless. But either way, seems pretty interesting. This right here, I think, is going to make some pretty interesting team runs. But overall, if it seems like I'm kind of on the fence as to how great this character could be, it's because it's hard to tell right now. I think she's at least in the league of the recent two characters, if not just a shade better. And if you're a support-oriented player, she's probably the best character in the game to you, just because you want all what she has to offer as a support, right? So this character, really, really good. Leona fans should be really happy, and overall, I think that they will be with this character. And even her character model looks incredible. We've talked about that. So we're going to move on now. We're going to talk about Luang. I don't want to spend all day on this, but Luang is a green attack type because, of course, it's a banner and they can't get away from green. So we have a green attack type here for whatever reason. Her leadership ability is fantastic. It increases extreme fighters attack by 45% and increases male fighters critical damage by 55%. Really, really good leadership skill. I would love to have this character just as a leader, so I could use her as a leadership for her leadership, but hey, I digress. Maybe we'll get lucky. Time will tell. So when it comes to this character, she isn't as complicated as Leona. Leona has a lot of moving parts, So there's a lot going on there. With her, there's not as much. She has Fierce Thrill for her exclusive cores that increases critical damage by 100% for 12 seconds upon landing an attack on a shocked enemy, and deals burn damage equal to 500% of attack upon landing an attack on a shocked enemy, and gains damage immunity for 6 seconds if HP is 30% or less on a cooldown of 9 seconds. So this character, a lot more basic. I'm not going to call her basic bitch, but she is much more basic than Leona. However, that increased your critical damage by 100% for 12 seconds upon landing an attack on a shocked target, and dealing that burn damage equal to 500% of attack upon landing an attack on a shocked enemy is going to translate to pretty good damage. One thing you do notice though is she does lack the 30% power charge rate. She has the 15. However, that doesn't make or break characters. We saw that recently with Shun'ei, which didn't even matter to him. So it is what it is, but overall, something to keep in mind. Now, she does have Best Sister Ever if the enemy has both Wild Sister and Shocking Sister effects applied. Then both effects are removed and Cool Sister is applied for 20 seconds, which decreases attack by 90% and defense by 80% and increases enemies' damage received by 100%. So she also has a critical hit shield, which we don't need to talk about. But we need to talk about this. So basically, this character wants to be used with Leona. Very weird, very interesting, very different. We've seen characters kind of get paired together with effects before, Kyo and Iori, etc. But very interesting to see that she has her own version of what we saw with Leona, and then you can kind of combine the two if you're using them both. What does this tell you? This tells you that Netmarble 1 wants you to try and build both characters, but 2, this tells you that these characters are meant to be in a support team built around trying to use all 3 of your characters to get as much damage as humanly possible, right? So that's kind of what you're seeing there, and I think that that is where this character is really going to shine, is next to Leona as dual supports, or as kind of a hybrid of support and damage, because again, I don't really know where her damage is going to end up at max level. Luang is a little bit harder on paper to tell because she doesn't look like she's probably going to be near as strong as in overall numbers by the end of things when both of them are at equal footing, both maxed out. But at the same time, you never know. So that's something to keep in mind. So let's take a look at the skills. So if we take a look at the skills here, on the S1, we have Wheel. Now, there's a lot of text here, so we're just going to kind of get through this. This is a interrupt limited to standing or airborne, deals burn damage equal to 250% of attack every 0.2 seconds for 7 seconds upon landing a skill. This is where you get your Wild Sister on the enemy for 5 seconds upon landing a skill on a shocked enemy, which increases enemies' burn damage received by 100% and decreases their defense by 60%. So again, her and Leona, best friends, BFFs, resets her cooldown for sword combo when landing a skill on a cooldown of 10 seconds, and that is the S1. So, next up, on the S2, we have a little bit going on here if you guys can't tell, so we're just going to kind of get through this charge skill. So flash charging is going to be an interrupt that is limited to standing, airborne, or knockdown with a PvE exclusive of allows changing direction, so you can move around with this character during some of her skills, kind of a theme to her character. She applies hyper armor, and which is going to give her that for 4 seconds, and have a PvP exclusive of disabling all the enemy's active skills for 3 seconds upon using it. So that is what we got there. Very interesting that she can move around. You have an interrupt with the hyper armor on the S2. Pretty standard stuff, but as far as the charged effects, let's take a look. She has a 40% chance to reset the cooldown for flash charging upon landing a skill. Pretty good. Increases the critical damage of all teammates, including herself, by 15% for 10 seconds upon using a skill. Pretty good. And then at max, resets cooldown for flash charging upon landing a skill, and increases the critical damage of all teammates, including self, by 25% for 20 seconds upon using a skill. 20 seconds, guys. Yeah, again, support. Great stuff. 20 seconds is pretty crazy. So that 25% buff is going to last forever. Yeah, pretty good little character, especially since you can reset it pretty much automatically at max charge. Yeah, I'd say it's pretty good. So let's take a look now at the S3. She has sword combo. This can be used when attack limited to standing or airborne, allows movement again. So again, guys, a theme with this character. She's also going to have hyper armor here for 4 seconds, which is really good. And then she deals shock damage equal to 350% of attack every 0.2 seconds for 7 seconds upon landing a skill, and applies shocking sister on the enemy for 5 seconds upon landing a skill on a burning enemy, which increases enemy shock damage received by 100% and decreases their attack by 60%, and resets the cooldown of wheel upon landing a skill. So that is what we got there, guys. Overall, this character, when it comes to her skills, looks like she is going to be a wonderful support character, probably one of the best support characters in the game, period. If not one of the best characters in the game, period. At the end of the day, when all is said and done, if she's got the right things to make her work. But I don't think that she is by herself just going to be out of the box one of the best characters in the game, bar none. But you never know. Again, this is just trying to go by off paper, go by what you can figure out in your own head, right? Until we get actual footage of them maxed out. Now, finally, on the finisher, she increases critical damage of all teammates, including self, by 10% for 8 seconds after using the skill. More support for your support. So, amazing support character. Her EX skills are going to also be kind of less interesting than Leona by a large margin. She's going to have release and heavy blow, so this is a support character if there ever was one, but at the same time, I do get the feeling that she's probably going to be pretty good in her own right, but I don't think she's going to be Leona, and I don't think she's probably going to be an Iori or maybe even a Shun'ei, but we'll see. So overall, guys, that is what we got with the banner. Should you summon? At the end of the day, it comes down to if these are your favorites. If these are your favorites, always pull for your favorites, guys. I've said that a million times in the past. However, with these characters being kind of different in the way that they're trying to do things, and the fact that they do kind of sort of somewhat rely on each other, and the card set specifically is like that, where it relies kind of on certain things to work out, I do think that the card banner is sus in that regard, because again, it's specific to very specific things for the card set, with the option being the standout. But at the end of the day, the characters look really, really good. If you're not somebody that likes playing support lineups, though, maybe not the banner for you. And at the same time, if you're somebody who is really just kind of curious what is about to happen with this March update that we're going to be getting, I might skip this in lieu of the next banner, just to kind of see if whatever's coming next is geared toward the new content. This stuff could be as well. We do not know. But at the end of the day, time will tell. There's no way to know that. So basically, it's up to you guys. I would say, though, maybe wait for a little bit of footage on these characters and then make your decisions from there. So with that said, you guys, before we go ahead and end today's video, which is already probably really, really long, I'm going to go ahead and summon and just use these rubies, these login rubies. So we're just going to go ahead and jump in here. I do want to try and get at least a copy of one of these characters. That would be great. I would prefer Leona, but Luang would be fantastic to have, just to have Luang, because this is her first appearance in the game, for one. And two, she has that leadership ability, but I really would like to get Leona. So you guys know how things work here. Believe in the heart of the cards, praise Rico, and let's summon on the EX Volume 9 banner, right? Let's just do it. See what we end up getting. I mean, we have 3,900 of the login rubies, so we can do like 3 or 4 multis, so we'll see if we get lucky. Probably won't, but hey, you never know. But good luck to all of you guys if you are planning on summoning. I have seen some people get lucky. I've seen some people, of course, get bad beats. Of course, at the end of the day, it's all RNG. You never know what's going to happen with this game. Any gacha game, it's always going to be up to chance. But you guys can let me know in the comment section down below what you think about this banner. I do think that it is a very good banner, but at the same time, I think it's a very experimental and very different banner, which I like to see. So that's kind of really where my excitement for it derives from. Hi, King. But overall, I don't think that right now, with all the new stuff we know we're going to be getting, you can make knee-jerk reactions to some of this stuff. So I would be very careful how I pace and spend right now until we see what Netmarble has to offer us with this upcoming update, because you never know what's going to happen. So I'm having trouble breathing this morning, by the way. So if I sound like I'm a little congested, it's because I am. I've been trying to just power through, but yeah, I get the feeling that the change in the weather, now that things are starting to get warmer outside, is messing with me. So what do we got here? Am I done? Was that all of my rubies? That's basically all my rubies. So anyway, you guys, we didn't get lucky. That's the video. So what are you still doing here? Anyway, you guys, thanks so much for watching. As always, like, share, and subscribe on your way out. Hopefully you got luckier than I did, and I will see you all in the next one. You all take care. Peace.
Continue.